Hello, I'm Sean Lim, and welcome to After 10. The age of robots may be closer than you think, with the government aiming to have a robot in every Korean home by the year 2020. On tonight's After 10, we meet the professor behind HUBO, the humanoid robot that's creating an international sensation. It's been over 2.5 years since the disaster at the Fukushima nuclear power plant. Rescue workers have had difficulties in dealing with the accident because of the radioactivity and discovered there was an urgent need for a robot that can respond to disaster scenes. To promote innovation in robotic technology for disaster response operations, the DARPA Robotics Challenge has invited the world's best robotic projects, and Korea's first humanoid robot, called HUBO, is among them. Professor Oh Jun-ho created Korea's first humanoid robot, HUBO, promoting the development of Korea's robotics industry. We hear more about his achievements and his future plans regarding robot development. Well, Professor, thank you so much for joining us here on After 10.
Okay, it's my great pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
Well, you have been developing a humanoid robot for many years now. Can you tell us about HUBO?
I started that work in year 2002, and I made first version of HUBO in 2004. Since then, I developed named A버지로. It's just his face look alike Albert Einstein, so his name is after him. And then I also made HUBO FX1, is big one, which can carry the man over 150 kilograms of weight. And year 2008, we developed HUBO 2, is a little bit more lighter version of HUBO, original HUBO. And then recently we made the newest version to be used for general users.
So when you first started, it was, I believe, a side project, a personal mission that you had on your own. It wasn't part of your regular work. Can you tell us a little bit about, how it went from your idea to now a project that is supported by the Korean government?
Yeah, at the first time, when I decided to do some research on humanoid robot, by that time, it is very hard to find the grant fund to support me, because by the time they say it is crazy idea that it will take it needs very big funds to make that kind of things. So I started this work with my own resources, and I made very first one named KHR1 version, and my institute, university, watched me and they decided me a little bit more. So it was about $100,000 by the time, and I made KHR2 versions, and it was appeared on the media, and then government decided to support me. Okay.
Right, and you've gone a long way now. The latest version of HUBO is off to the DARPA Robotics Challenge in 2013. Can you tell us a little bit about what this competition is going to mean for you?
Okay, DARPA is kind of Defense Research Institute agency, supporting agency in the United States, and they observe the Fukushima disaster, and then they found that to cope with such kind of disaster, they found that they need very complicated and combined problems at the same time. So they think that they need very complicated robot system to solve or to cope with such kind of disaster situations. And that's the reason that they announced this kind of competition 1.5 years ago. There is no limitation how robot look alike. It might look like a humanoid, or it might be, say, wheel-based one. But the thing is that they show us only the questions, 8 different questions to solve.
So it was in response to the Fukushima nuclear disaster. So the robots that they employed there apparently weren't
advanced enough to carry out that kind of a mission. So what are the rubrics? What's the scoring system going to be? What are these robots supposed to do to make a big impact?
What they say is 8 scenarios, 8 problems actually. And first one is that they have to find the car and get on the car and drive the car and to the target place and get off. Okay, that's the one mission. Secondly, once get off, they will find the debris is covered, all the ground. They have to negotiate all the debris and blockings. They climb up and go over that one. The distance is about 60 feet, quite far. And then when they get into the door, and door is blocked by wood and bricks and pipes, etc., they have to remove all the debris and blocking materials by his own hands. And then they have to get into open the 3 different doors, pull type, push type, and also the spring back type. And then they will find the wall was just closed, and they have to break the wall through kind of electric tools, and they might round holes and get into. And then they will find stairways, very stiff one. So they have to climb up the ladder, and then what else? Okay, and there's room there, and there are pipe is leaking, and they have to find where we have to close the door, close the valve to shut the steam out, and they have to close the valve, and then lastly they have to find the fire hose and attach fire hose and. Wow! There's so many different missions. They divide by 8 levels.
So there's 6 competitors in your group. Do you think the competitors can do all these things that you just mentioned, and can HUBO?
Yes, very hard to say. We are trying. Just before I became here, we had a big discussion with our teams that how many points can you get from the 8 scenarios. Each scenario, each task has 3 points. So total points is about 24. And we count the possibility, how many points when you get. We hopefully, and very just say, the point is about 20.
Wow. So almost all of the tasks.
That's our hope, and we counted very generously count the point, then we may get close to 20. But the thing is that the older task might be, they say, supervisory autonomous. Okay, means that we can give them just a short command, and based upon that command, they do some task by his own way, and then do and progress to solve one scenario. Then we resolve all the scenarios and very carefully, then we can solve some of the problem.
So compared to some of the previous versions of HUBO, what would viewers be surprised at when they see that this robot can do? Yeah,
the original HUBO was designed to simulate the human gesture. So basically what they do is they bipedal walk through with the 2 legs and simulate the human gesture, like it's just all the movements and the movements of heads, for example. So the purpose of HUBO itself is mimicking the human motion, and means that the HUBO itself is not very functional. So he can walk, but it's hard to interact with the environments and human. And for DRC challenge, HUBO should be modified to solve such kind of physical work. So we strengthen the power, and we extend the length of arm to do more work, and it has very strong hands and strong legs, and even higher the height.
That sounds pretty amazing. Why is it called the HUBO?
No specific meanings, just Hu means like a human maybe, Bo means part of robot, so we combine it. No specific meaning, just HUBO is a cute name.
Right, and so you first started off with the humanoid 2-legged robot, but now you're also experimenting with the 4-legged version. Why is that?
Just like for man, for example, say, you usually walk with the 2 legs, bipedal walking, But if ground is not stable, you feel that you're dizzy, you may just crawl maybe. So quadruped walking is possible with human. Yeah, you may crawl. So HUBO is do the same thing. So sometimes you walk by pedal, and if you have to go over, say, rough terrain, then he may use his hand to support. So that we may call quadruped or crawl maybe.
Wow, so it really is going to start to mimic a human. So the government in previous years has announced a one robot, one family policy by 2020. So this is quite a leap from those days where people thought you might be crazy for doing robotic technology. Now the government even wants to have a robot in every household. What's the vision behind that?
I think it's a matter of definition of robot. What is robot? For example, say, you may see the cleaning robot, okay? It is a robot. So in 5 years, every household may have their own cleaning robot. It's just one robot in one house, okay? So it is not a dream. And sometimes, for example, toy robot, okay? It's a robot. Every kids might have their toy robot. So 2 robots every household maybe. So I'm not very pessimistic. I'm a little bit more optimistic on the future of robot, and I believe that robot age is already coming. Okay, so we are living in between the robot already, because many robotic functions are embedded in many home appliances. For example, say these days some camera has some autonomous function. That means that he finds the objects like a human face, for example. And if he found that
or focuses on it.
Focus on it, and it's on a specific target or human face, and some man start to laugh, he detects the laughing, it trigger the shutter. Means that this camera itself could think and do some autonomous work. It's kind of robotic function is already embedded. So that kind of thing is already happening around us.
So after we get robots and it becomes much more widespread, what do you think the impact is going to be on our lives? Or does that mean we're going to have more time because we don't have to clean? We don't have to
of course,
focus our cameras?
Yeah, of course. These days, many people are speaking about, dreaming about driverless car. Okay, so some people say that in 5 years to 10 years, there are some driverless car will be appearing in real road. Means that we don't need to drive near future, and that we don't need to have robotic driver, but vehicle itself become a robot because he may drive himself. Okay, so if people think that robot at home means that you will have HUBO-like robot in front of you, and he's playing with you, and he's doing cook, and he may do some drive, he may clean your rooms, but the reality will not be something like that way. I think that the clean robot is cleans, and say cooking device itself cooks something, and automobile vehicle will drive by himself. And door maybe, we don't need to have robotic guard. Door itself will be smart enough to distinguish who is my family, who is our guests, and who is not allowed to get in. And we don't need to have any keys because door itself will be robots. Just open door and close.
So it seems like when you say robot, it's very important to define what you mean by it, because people have varying visions of what a robot is. You work with a lot of other engineers at KAIST. What kind of discussions do you have when you guys are brainstorming about robotic functions and then what you guys want to ultimately move towards?
Yes. Thing is that we are talking about technology. So in the market or in general users, there are very definite necessity of robot in such level. The thing is that we cannot provide that kind of level of robots yet. For example, say we want to talk with the robot. So we want to have robots some robot has some intelligence or emotion. So we can communicate with emotional way or speak or dialogue with the robot. But there are lots of necessity, for example, but we cannot provide such kind of things. We want to have clean robot much powerful and smarter than existing one, but we cannot make it. So our colleagues, we are always talking about that. What could we realize with our existing technology and to meet with the requirement of market? Yeah, we are discussing a lot.
Well, compared to the science fiction of like the 1940s and 1950s concerning robots, it seems like we're much closer to an actual realization of this technology. So let's say in 10 or 20 years, more robots come to our lives. Do you think society will be ready for a robotic world?
We fly into the 10 years from now on, then there must be a robotic society. But if I fly on that period, we cannot see any real robots. As I mentioned, that robotic function is embedded, like as movie Transformer. There are already robots around you, but you cannot recognize which one is robot, which is not robot, because robotic function is embedded there. So, for example, say we are living in computer year, but you cannot see any computer. Our cell phone itself is computer. Our remote control is computer already. Our refrigerator, there is already computer itself, and we are surrounded by at least 100 computers in your house, but you cannot see any computers. I think that same thing will be happening for the robotic years. So in 10 years, you will be surrounded by robots, but you cannot see which one is real robots.
So there are concerns, though, even if you cannot see the robots all around you, that when a man puts their function into a machine, they lose part of their manhood or humanity. Do you think these robots are going to start posing a threat to how we feel about our utility and function in the world?
Yeah, that's very natural concern about the coming robotic years. But my thought is that that will not happen, because the task given to the robot is the work that the hard for human, and sometimes the impossible task for human, or very dangerous task for human. So it will not replace the human's job usually. So it will not take the human jobs. Even it may create more jobs for the human, because they have to manage that one, and they need more manpower. For example, say 10 to 20 years, many secretaries' task was typing something, and sometimes bookkeeping, the finances type things. Now these days, all of them are replaced with so-called ERP systems now. But by the time 10 secretaries did the same thing, but now we need 20 more people to manage that one, because it covers more clean works. Okay, so it usually creates more jobs. When you have new systems, it creates more jobs. That's the general things happened in the past.
Well, when you look at the robotics industry, you still first need the academics and engineers to come up with the actual science behind it. So you must see a lot of young students who are coming into your department. Have you seen more of an interest in robotics? Do people still think of it as like a future-oriented industry, or do they really see it something very practical that they can build a career on after they graduate?
Yes, robots itself is very futuristic one, not the thing that is existing in this time. But the thing is that the technology behind the robot is very general. For example, say, technology in robots are used in automobile at the same time. Same technologies will be used in the camera or cell phone everywhere. So we are doing research on robots, but the basic technology is kind of we call mechatronics. It's some design and software and firmware and electronics, some sensors. All of them are combined into one, and it realizes as robots. But the technology is very common to everywhere. So we are talking about the final outcome from those technology is robots, but that technology is very common. So results is very futuristic and very far in the future, but technology is supporting for everything. So that's the reason that this area is very popular for the students, and they can touch the results all the way. So it's kind of fun to learn.
What's your ultimate vision for the robotics industry? What would make you happy if you could fast forward right now to any time period? What would the robots of our world look like to you?
Thus far, robot means industrial robot. Okay, a robot is doing the work in the factory, and the task is very repeating. Now we are talking about intelligent service robot. That robot means working with human and working in human living environment. The technology behind those robots are quite different, and the level is quite high to accomplish intelligent service robot. That means at the same time that it's very hard to realize at this moment. But the other way, if the technology is made, the result is very shocking. So we are in the transition period. So it's very hard to imagine what will happen in 10 to 20 years, because technology is kind of living creature. So it's evolved in many different directions and sometimes combined. There are two different groups concerning about intelligent or the artificial intelligence. One group believes that we will have perfect or superhuman-like intelligence some future. And the other group, I belong to that group, believe that it will not happen. So it's just complicated calculation will show you like as computational intelligence by the calculations. It's just simulating the intelligence, but it is not smart, that much smart. There are two groups are thinking two different ways. I think that even the science or technology is evolved and evolved. I believe that it is very hard for the human to create the superhuman-like humanoids.
So you've been awarded a prize from the Ministry of Science and Technology. Can you tell us a little bit about that, and then how you are a role model for future scientists in this field?
I think that most important thing for the youngsters, for anybody, is that the passion. Okay, so if once you have a passion to do something, then you will have it. You do lots of work without any passion, then you will get nothing. So I would like to say them that having a passion and keeping a passion.
Well, certainly it's your passion and enthusiasm for this project that really has advanced the Korean robotics industry. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much.
Well, that does it for us tonight on After 10. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again.